What's up, everyone? We are coming up on another fun weekend of English Premier League action, and I am here with my man, Leo. We are both all jerseyed up. He is representing La República de Colombia, and I, of course, have my Liverpool jersey on, which this week is red since the Reds are home this week. Leo, how are we feeling?
Thank you very much, and good morning. It's going to be a great weekend. Howdy!
Howdy, y'all. Anyway, so I am going to share my screen, and we're going to take a look at some of the fixtures. Changed it up from just going with Google to going to the official Premier League site, and we're going to go through some of the fun fixtures of the weekend. We open up tomorrow morning with Liverpool at home against Burnley. Of course, last year, Burnley ended Liverpool's 68-game run at Anfield without a loss. So I mean, Liverpool definitely wants to exact revenge on that. Liverpool won in game week 1, and so Burnley. So they're both coming off of nice wins to open the season. Liverpool's was, of course, much more comfortable. Yeah. So what are your feelings on this one, Leo?
Oh, it's not even a good topic of conversation for me. It's just another 3-4-0 type of game. Burnley's not good. Next.
Well, I feel very similarly. Of course, last year's 1-0 win from Burnley was the beginning of Liverpool's real downturn. It was a rough time for Liverpool. They had played United in the league. They had United in the FA Cup after that, and then the wheels just fell off. I believe at that point, Liverpool was in and around the top of the league. They lost to Burnley, and then it was 6 straight games at home without a win. So that was the beginning of the end for Liverpool last year. Judging by the jersey that I am currently wearing, I hope that this is the beginning of Liverpool getting things right. Fun fact to look at here, Liverpool, if you want to kind of take a look at it, week 1 played Norwich at Norwich. And if you want to match these up with 2021 results, they drew at Fulham last year, and Fulham technically took Norwich's spot. So that was 2 points they picked up there, and they lost to Burnley last year at home. So if we're matching fixtures, that's 5 points. If they win tomorrow, that's 5 points that they picked up from last year. So again, way too early to be looking at things like this, but at the end of the day, it does add up. So
I get you're a Liverpool fan, and I know you want to talk about Liverpool. You're going to get plenty of chances down the season when they actually play a good team. But what we saw last weekend, they showed us that they're not going to lose tomorrow.
No.
Tomorrow.
I don't. Nope.
That'll be an easy one.
Yeah, that's exactly what I think. But I don't want to disrespect Burnley. I want it to be known that they did win last year. They do play a very aggressive brand of football. So if Virgil is playing and Matip is playing, those are guys who were out last year. If Konate plays, that's a guy who hasn't made his Liverpool debut yet. Joe Gomez also out last year. So these are guys that are going to put pressure on the Liverpool backline in your Chris Woods, your Ashley Barnes. Some of their center backs are also going to do that. So they're going to give a physical game. That being said, Liverpool's probably going to win 3-0. So on to Villa Park, 2 teams that lost in the first game week. Newcastle blew a lead. Villa looked terrible against Watford, which maybe that says more about Watford than Villa. But I do think that this should be a comfortable win for Villa. I'm very high on Villa this year. I was very shocked that they lost to Watford, but this should be a comfortable win for Villa.
I want to say yes also, but Newcastle sometimes will pull off weird stuff. I think it's going to be a game worth watching. And these are two middle of the table teams that want to do something, and they're going to start proving it as soon as possible. At least that's their idea. So hopefully that'll happen. It's going to be an okay game, worth watching, I think. I'm going to say if I had to pick a score, 1-1, 0-0, something simple like that.
Well, it's funny you say they're both middle of the table teams. I have Villa fighting for the Europa League, and I have Newcastle bottom of the table. So, I mean, maybe Newcastle is going to show us a little more, but I just don't see the ambition there. And to kind of counterpoint myself, a lot of people could say that West Ham and Villa are similar, roughly talent-wise, and Newcastle had the lead on West Ham last week. I know it was at home, and I know they ended up losing 4-2, but Newcastle had a lead on West Ham. So if they could beat West Ham, I know it was over just the beginning, and it was 2-1, and then they ended up having the wheels fall. Maybe they can play a game with Villa, and maybe they can make it tight to the end. I could see 2-1 Villa, maybe 3-1. It might be a 3-1 Villa game that's like 2-1, and then Villa scores in like the 90th minute, and then it ends up being 3-1. So moving on to back to London, we have Crystal Palace hosting Brentford. And of course, week 1, Crystal Palace was beaten 3-0 by Chelsea. Brentford, in their return, or actually their maiden voyage in the Premier League, beat Arsenal 2-0. So expectations are very high now for Brentford. That being said, I do back Palace in this game. I don't think that they were 3 goals worse than Chelsea. And in the same way, it's mean to say Brentford aren't a team that's going to beat Arsenal and beat those kind of teams. And it would be weird to say, okay, you could beat Arsenal, but then lose to Palace. But, and I said this when we were previewing last week, that was the biggest game in Brentford history. I mean, I know now you could say, oh, well, you won, so now every game becomes important. But, like, they needed to win that game. There was no way, in my opinion, there was no way they were losing that game. I think I predicted a tie coming into it last weekend, but there was no way they were going to lose that game. That was such an important game for them. Just emotions were so high. The stadium was absolutely electric. And you might see similar for Palace this weekend. I mean, it's going to be difficult as shown by the results from last weekend for somebody to go on the road and get a win. So, Leo, your thoughts?
Yeah, I can agree. I think they're going to come in. They came in full steam already. They beat Arsenal. That was mentally, that was a tough game to beat. I mean, your first game in the Premier League is Arsenal. Why couldn't it be Norwich? Why couldn't it be one of these other lower, But they were able to get over that. What was it? 2-0, I believe.
2-0. Yeah.
That's a comfortable lead. I think if they take that and they put it towards this next game, towards Crystal Palace, they could probably pull off another win. Crystal Palace is sloppy in the back. They're not all the way tight in the back. They got a good offense, or a decent offense that's intimidating, but the defense, sloppy. So if they can penetrate like they did with Arsenal, they're going to be in good shape, and they look okay. They look okay to me. I say 1-0, 2-0 Brentford.
Okay. Very interesting.
My thoughts changed on Brentford as when I saw them last weekend.
Okay. I'd love to see it. I would. I mean, Brentford, they play a smart brand of football. They're a fun team. Love their coach, Thomas Frank. Very excitable. And I like teams like that. I like teams like that to stay up. I don't know how much of last week was they played well and how much of last week was the environment. So we got to see that. Talking about teams that want last week to be in the background, we have Leeds hosting Everton. There were those moments when Leeds tied the game at Old Trafford last weekend, but then those were quickly removed by their necks being jarred by Man United players scoring goals. And Elon Mezier just pulling balls out of the back of his net. Story was a lot different for Everton. Southampton took a lead. Everton responded with 3 goals and won 3-1. But again, this weekend, Everton have to go to Leeds. And as we said, home field advantage might be a thing again. All these fans, they had a season behind closed doors and they hated it. So in these 50-50 games, I got to go with the home team. I mean, anything that's a coin flip, I have to go with the home team. I think it might actually be a fun game to watch. I was going to say, I don't think it'll be a fun game to watch. I think it might be a fun game to watch. There was a lot that I saw from Leeds last weekend that led me to believe that scoreline flattered Man United. Leeds played some good football there for about 55 minutes, and then United just demolished them on the counterattack. And I don't think Leeds will, number one, I don't think Everton have the same attacking strength as United. And number two, I don't think Leeds will go after the game as much as they went after it at United. They wanted to win that game. They weren't going to play passive, which is not a Bielsa trait to play passive, but they went after that game and United just skinned them. I mean, once United knew that Leeds scored the goal to tie it, and then Leeds was like, okay, we can win this game, left themselves wide open on the counter, and United just slayed it. Number one, I don't think Leeds will leave themselves so vulnerable on the counter. And number two, if Leeds do, I don't think Everton have the talent to beat them the way United beat them.
So we might talk about this later, but if I had to pick a game of the weekend, this is probably going to be it. I've looked at the other major teams. I would say Chelsea, Arsenal, but Arsenal looked weak. So I want to say Leeds, Everton. Leeds is a strong team. They came out biting Manchester United. Manchester United was just something else last weekend. Pogba played like he never played. Bruno, he could not. Everything he touched turned into gold. It's hard to have another weekend like that. You're right. Everton doesn't have that, but you can't underestimate Everton's offensive line. They got Richarlison, they have Everett Lewin, they have Iwobi. Iwobi showed up last weekend, made a couple of good plays that ended up in goals. Their defense is not terrible. It's getting better, I'd like to say. I hope James Rodriguez comes back and plays a little bit. I hope he's healthy. It's going to be a good game. I think. I don't know what to think about it. I don't know. Right. 1-1, 1-1, 2-1. I want to go with Everton.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. I think that these two teams are very evenly matched. The big difference is these coin flip games. I think home field advantage is going to mean so much this year. You got to give it to the home team. And I do think it's a coin flip game. I think you put these guys on a neutral field, they're very similar. I just think that the fact that Leeds is at home gives them the advantage. The next game, we might have to say less about this game than we did about Liverpool Burnley, because an angry Man City against a Norwich team that just shipped 3, and City's at home. I mean, Records were made to be broken, and this is a game where records can be broken. I mean, Pep might put the pedal to the metal, and the last time Norwich was up, they beat Man City. I know it was at Norwich, but they beat Man City. That they might score goals for fun, and or they might come out with a ridiculous line. If you told me that this game finished 7-0, I wouldn't be shocked.
The only reason why I'm probably going to watch this game over the Leeds Everton game is because I want to see Jack Grealish come back and do to this team what he couldn't do last team. He tried and tried and tried, got a yellow card out of frustration, couldn't do shit, but tried. And I think everybody's going to see what he's made out of on this. He has to do stuff. He has to do some good shit. Otherwise, people are just going to cancel him. They're going to say, oh, you couldn't do shit against Norwich City. Terrible.
But what does that prove? It
proves that it's going to be a practice game. So if he can mesh well with the rest of the team, then it's going to prove that it was a good buy.
Does it prove he's a good buy because he could beat Norwich? I mean,
no,
they could beat Norwich before they got Jack Grealish.
If he could just mesh well with the team, if he could do a couple of 1-2s, well, not more than just a couple. What I wanted to prove is that he can mesh well with how City plays already.
But against Norwich.
I wanted to do that against everyone, but since he couldn't do that against Tottenham last week, he definitely has to do it now.
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%, but it's Norwich. I mean,
but it's a start. It's a better start than last weekend.
Well, number one, I don't know if he will start. Pep might just go with KDB. That's number one. Number two, City has everything to lose in this game. City has everything to lose in this game. And I could have said the same thing about Liverpool earlier, even though Burnley did beat them last year. If City doesn't come out, like if City wins this game 2-0, or God forbid they scrape a 1-0 victory.
You want to bring it back to Liverpool, but Liverpool doesn't.
No, I'm giving because those are two teams that play. But those are two teams that are playing tremendously. Number one, I think those are the two teams that are really going to be fighting for the title. And number two, they both have extremely easy games at home.
Listen, Liverpool didn't just buy on a multi-million-dollar contract a player that is, to most people, to most EPL fans, questionable on what that price is. That price is too high. So that's why Liverpool they're gonna do great. They're a great team, but there's not one player on that team that has this kind of pressure that Grealish has.
I understand right now. I understand that 100%. But in that, and we're saying something very similar, just in a different way, which is why I'm saying that City has everything to lose. If
you're
Grealish
downplaying this whole against Norwich, okay, I get that. I get what you're saying. But it's important. It's important that he shows up for this sucky ass team just because he couldn't show up against a good ass team last weekend. He needs to show up.
Exactly. Which if we're going to overly simplify this into the top, I won't just say Liverpool City. I'll involve Chelsea and United and even Leicester into it because I know you have a thing with Leicester. When these teams play similar teams, you have to rate their performances against those teams.
I don't think so.
When United play, so now City have played Spurs, United have played, whoever they have played already. So City are playing Norwich, who Liverpool just played. And Liverpool went to Norwich. And after the first 35 minutes of the game, they put it to Norwich. City, on the other hand, played Spurs at Spurs, looked horrible. Now they're playing the same Norwich team at the Etihad. So if they don't do at least what Liverpool was able to do to Norwich, that doesn't look good. And particularly because you mentioned Jack Grealish, if Grealish doesn't look good, now we have big question marks. That's why I'm saying if City doesn't come out and put their foot down and remind everybody that they are the team, because if you look at the EPL, City have lost trophies. Their last, I believe, their last 2 games, I'm sorry, they've lost trophies. Well, they've lost 3 games in a row now, but their last 2 games, they had lost trophies. They lost the Community Shield, then they lost the Champions League final. And then before that, they were knocked out of the FA Cup by Chelsea. So in the league, if you're City, you're looking and you're saying, we lost to Chelsea in a Champions League final. And Liverpool is saying, we had a trash team last year. We spanked you for the title the year before that, and now we're healthy. So City needs to remind everybody that they're the big dog, and they have the opportunity to do it this week. So they better.
We agree.
Yes.
But I don't agree with how we agree, because you're taking a point of reference on how other teams do against a shitty team or any other team, and that counts up to a point. But at the same time, different teams are built different, and different teams play against each other different. Liverpool, we were talking about last year, their offense really starts with the back defenders. That's how they, Trent Alexander-Arnold, I believe, that's what I saw a lot of plays like that. But you can't fully 100% tit for tat compare how Liverpool did against Norwich last week, and let's say they beat them 4-0, and if Man City don't beat Norwich 4-0 this weekend, you can't automatically say, oh, well then Liverpool's better than them, or Manchester City's not going to be that great, because they have a different way of playing. They have different attackers. It's the variables are so different that you can't.
So I don't want to get stuck on this. So I'll just yes or no question. Man City beats Norwich 1-0 tomorrow. You just say, okay, it's a win, and we move on.
I say it's a shitty win.
Okay.
What? But that's not basing it off of how Liverpool or how Chelsea do against them. That's just basing it off of how Man City is as a team in general and how they play. If I would have paired them up to a Leicester City, who I like, but I know that it's a inferior team, I can tell you that they're going to do a whole lot better, because their attacking style is more intimidating. It is just more disruptive. Norwich doesn't have that.
Okay. Simple enough.
Period.
Simple enough. I am just saying the optics of it, especially if when we move down the line to another game, if results there go well and City doesn't look convincing, there's going to be a lot of tumult in the Manchester camp. Moving on to the next game, Brighton-Watford. Brighton lost last week. Watford won very surprisingly over Villa. I don't know what we're going to see from Watford. I know you were saying that you're impressed by them. I honestly don't. I didn't have a lot of background on Watford. They didn't do a lot of good business, but they showed a lot playing a good Villa team. And Brighton showed absolutely nothing playing a bad Burnley team. So the game is at Brighton. I'm going to have to go Watford. Probably not going to be a game that I'm watching, but I'm interested to see if Watford can turn week 1 into week 2, or if it was just a good situation for them. But Watford can really show us something. Watford wants to be in the contention as a team that's watching results from Southampton and Burnley and Newcastle and saying, you know what? They can go down because we're a good team and we want to stay in the Premier League.
So I want you to take a good look at this shirt that I have on right now.
Because your little homie from Colombia was in the goals.
And then we're going to talk about Watford and something great that they did last weekend, which was upper 90 goal outside of the 18. I think it was outside of the 18. It was a wonderful goal.
It was a very good
that caught my eye. And as of last weekend, I said, I'm going to keep an eye on fucking Watford more than I was before because I already like them as a team already. Not my favorite. They're like my favorite sucky team. Let's just say that, because they don't win all the games, but they have some interesting things going on in the midfield and up top. And if you have that, then I'm going to watch you, especially if you have good plays in the middle and a decent striker, then you're worth watching for me. And even though your defense is kind of trash, that kind of makes it fun because you have the offensive that's good and they're kind of putting goals in the net, and then they have their defense that's letting them down almost every second because they give up stupid easy goals.
Who is the Colombian that they have?
Cucho Hernandez.
Cucho Hernandez. Okay. Yeah. So is he a winger or a striker?
He looked like he was playing striker position last week.
So between him and Ismail Assar, who has been linked with big money moves. Like I know when Watford went down, it was basically him or Diogo Jota for Liverpool. Now, because he did well in the championship again, and like bigger teams are still looking, he's valued at like 80 million pounds. So there's a big price target on his head. So we'll see how that shakes out. I mean, he's a good player. He's a good pacey winger, Senegal, like him. And like I said, I have Watford probably a 2-1 win, maybe even 2-0. Now we go down to St. Mary's, Southampton, Man U. Southampton, as we said, had a 1-0 lead against Everton, blew it. Man U won 5-1. And Man U also won 9-0 at Southampton, or beat Southampton 9-0 last year. So I don't think there's very much to see here either.
I mean, I'm going to say this, to be fair. These are the games that Manchester United struggles with. At the end of the day, it might not be Southampton, but it's going to be one of these teams that you don't expect. There's always upsets for Manchester United on these surprisingly bad teams. It's not even against a Tottenham or Chelsea. It's against some of these teams that just don't have much going for them. I'm scared. I'm scared because Man United looked great last week. Can they pull it off again? I hope. I hope Pogba's on. I hope Bruno's on. But I'm kind of worried.
So I did say that United won big, Southampton blew it last week, and also Man U beat Southampton 9-0 last year. But if you remember, when they played at St. Mary's in 2021, United needed late heroics from Edison Cavani to win. So that could be the case. It could be a tight game. However, Southampton don't have Vestergaard. Didn't even know that he was on Leicester's radar.
Which is very interesting.
Sniped them. And then they don't have Danny Ings. So they don't have their top goal scorer. They don't have their top defender anymore. 3-1 is the best case for Southampton, in my opinion.
1-0 for me, United.
Okay. In the banana peel of the weekend, we have Spurs going down to Molineux to play Wolves. Spurs cannot humanly be higher. They just beat Man City. They basically flipped the double bird to Harry Kane and said, we don't need you. Nuno Espirito Santo feels great. He's going back to Molineux, to Wolves, to show him what's up. And I think Wolves are going to show up and spank them. I
think that's fair. Wolves is a team that the only reason I watch them is because of Jimenez and Traore. And it's going to be interesting to see them, struggle the whole game to have a goal. But yeah, otherwise, I agree with you. Tottenham looks good. Son looks good. It's probably going to be a 2-0, 2-1 type of game for me.
I don't know if you missed what I was saying. I'm going the other way. I got 2-0, maybe even 3-0 Wolves.
Whoa. After Tottenham's on top? You said Tottenham's on top.
That's what I'm saying. They're feeling high. They're very confident. They have a lot of juice right now.
See, this is exactly what I meant about Man United against Southampton. I think it's a similar case of what you're thinking.
I also know yesterday Spurs lost to Pacos de Ferreira in the European Conference League. So you beat Man City, you lose to like the 7th best team in Portugal.
Okay.
What's the deal here, kids? What are we doing? What are we doing? And I will say that I did not look at what Spurs lineup was. They may have had everybody on the bench, but you should beat Pacos de Ferreira. Just pretty simple. You should win that game. So I got 2-0 Wolves. It sounded like you were saying 1-0, maybe 2-0 Spurs.
I said something like 2-1 because I want these Wolves forwards to score.
Okay. Yeah, and Wolves didn't look bad against Leicester last week. Leicester played very well, and they held them off the board. So now we move to the game that on paper should be the game of the weekend. Arsenal, Chelsea. Chelsea got a 3-0 win. Arsenal lost 2-0 to Brentford. I think that this game being home for Arsenal is in Chelsea's favor because there's a lot of Arsenal fans that want to greet the team in a different way. They don't exactly want to give them a warm embrace. They've spent a ton of money. So you can't sit here and say they're not spending money. They've actually spent the most money. Chelsea got Lukaku, City got Grealish, United got Sancho and Varane. Arsenal have spent the most money. And they spent more money because they got Martin Odegaard from Real Madrid yesterday. So they're spending the money. They're trying to make the team better, or at least they're trying to throw money at the problem. I just don't think that they're throwing money in the right places. They have to sort out whatever's going on with Aubameyang because essentially he just got paid like the best striker in the world and has given up all want and need to do anything on the field. Is Lacazette going to play? What is the role? I mean, I don't think that Odegaard would be able to get in the team on Saturday, but maybe they could use him as a super sub. They did nothing that impressed me on Friday, like against Brentford. Nothing at all. They really need to show up. And then for Chelsea, they win 3-0. Yeah, they're going on the road, but it's still in London. Does Lukaku play? Is he an option on the bench? Does he start? What do we got going on? I think they win. I think they win pretty comfortably, probably another 2-0. Chelsea's defense has just been sublime since Tuchel came in. I'm interested to see if Lukaku plays, but I think we might now be at the point where we need to look at Arsenal in the Aston Villa, Leeds, Everton, Wolves even realm rather than a top 6 team, because they just aren't a top 6 team anymore. They shouldn't get that respect that they're a top team. They just aren't.
Yeah, I agree with that, but it's painful for me because you hate to see a team like Arsenal just go into a different tier, go down, you know. But I mean that opens it up for one of these middle teams to step it up and over time, you know, become one of these United City, Liverpool, Tottenham type of teams. And even Tottenham's gotten away a little bit from that upper three. So yeah, I don't like it for Arsenal. I don't think it's looking good for them. I hope Lukaku plays. If Lukaku plays, it's gonna be that Jack Grealish situation where fucking have to do good against Arsenal. You know, it's the least you can do. So if he does play, it's gonna be a great start. It's gonna be an interesting watch, just for that reason. Otherwise, it's gonna be an easy 2-0 game that I'm probably gonna be bored watching.
Yeah, I agree. So last game, I think this is also going to be a pretty good game. West Ham and Leicester. West Ham and Leicester. I know you're very, very high on Leicester. West Ham, through the advanced stats, was the second most efficient offense in week 1. I know that they inexcusably were losing to Newcastle, but they were the second most efficient offense in week 1. These were number 1, by the way, but they were the second most efficient offense, and they have a home game. So I think this is going to be a tight one. I still like Leicester. I think a draw. I think a 2-2. I think a 2-2 fits here. West Ham showed me a lot offensively. Leicester's a very strong side. Them giving up 2 goals is going to be tricky, but they still have to sort out their center back pairing. I like their offense, though. I think that they'll score goals too. And of course, West Ham allowed 2 to Newcastle. If they're allowing 2 to Newcastle, they're going to allow goals to Leicester. I see you shaking your head, but again, home field advantage. Home field advantage is really a thing. We saw that from week 1. We've seen that going forward. This game is at the London Stadium. West Ham are in Europe this year. They're in the Europa League. The fans are excited for West Ham. They haven't had the opportunity to do that for a while. West Ham were in and around the top 4 a lot last year. The fans will be very up for this game. London Stadium has not, basically since it's been built, London Stadium hasn't been able to have an environment. They will. This is a game they will be very up for. It is a Monday night fixture. All the eyes will be on them. I feel like you're going to have a very different feeling on this.
Disagree. West Ham can fight against some of these other teams easily and can come away with a good draw, sometimes a good win. Not going to happen with Leicester. It's not going to happen at all, especially with their newest addition. We just talked about Vestergaard, solid in the back. I don't think he's going to let anything through. And if he does, he's going to have a couple of other good-ass defenders that's going to back him up easily. Their offense looks great. Jamie Vardy still putting in shit. Chat shit get spanked. What's his chat?
Chat shit get banned.
Chat shit what?
Chat shit get banned. That's his motto.
He's still putting in that type of energy, and I don't think he's stopping anytime soon. He's got a lot of good backups there in the middle that are putting balls in space for him or for him to go into, and you know what we talked about last week. So it's going to be an easy 2-0, 3-0 type of win. I get that they're away. I know what you're talking about, home advantage. That's a dangerous thing, especially if you're able to disrupt another team. But I don't think Leicester is vulnerable enough to get tricked by that environment. I think they're going to be just fine.
I don't want to go back down the rabbit hole that we went in our weekly review on Monday. Jamie Vardy, that type of striker, that type of forward is what Man City needs. They don't need other people that they are rumored for. They need, that's the kind of guy they need. I'm not saying that it needs to be.
That's what they're going to get.
They need a predator. But anyway, that's all different. Yeah, I do think that this is going to be a very tight game. I didn't get a score prediction from you there, but it sounds like you're in the 2-0, 2-1 range, probably.
I think I said 2-0, 3-0.
Okay.
What I'm thinking.
Even 3-0. I can see it. I mean, I think that Leicester are a more talented team than West Ham, but I go back to what I've said. These games that are even a relative coin flip, I'm giving to the home team. I mean, I gave a coin flip with Leeds Everton to Leeds. I gave what could be a coin flip with Wolves and Spurs to Wolves.
That's our difference right now, though. You think this is a coin flip game. I don't. I think Leicester's past the coin flip type of stage, again, especially against West Ham. That's the difference.
I mean, you could look at both of those teams and say that they had very similar seasons last year. I know that you're very high on Leicester, but they had very, very similar seasons last year. Spent most of the year.
When you say similar seasons, what is that?
They spent most of the year in the top 4, and then both teetered out right at the end. I mean, let's remember, while we're talking about the good stuff of Leicester, they had the 4th spot in their grasp and then lost it to Spurs on the last day, or lost to Spurs on the last day and gave it to Chelsea. So they are in similar-ish spots. I know we had the discussion last time about how West Ham relied on Jesse Lingard so much, and he's not around anymore. But the way Mikel Antonio looked, he looked like a live wire. Souček, he's showing up. Declan Rice holding down the midfield. They have players. They have the ability to get stuff done. I know that I'm picking a draw, but I do think Leicester are the better team.
Mm-hmm.
I just think this is going to be another game where the fans are, because you have to remember, all of these games are the first time any of these teams have been in front of a full capacity stadium, or should be a full capacity stadium. So all of these home teams are going to come out on fire. That's just how it is. I mean, we saw it last weekend. There's a reason why 7 out of 10 home teams won last weekend, because these fans are dying to see their players show up. I mean, I could probably, maybe I'm right and wrong on your point. I could see a game like where West Ham goes up 2-0 and then Leicester scores 2 to get a draw. And it looks like Leicester played better just because how the game ended. But West Ham is going to show up for this game. Leicester may play better, but West Ham are going to show up for this game. And I do see this as a draw, which would, given my projections, be the first draw of the EPL season, which would be super fun that we make it through 19 fixtures and then we have a draw. So that's nice, because I know a lot of people can kind of poo-poo soccer for, there's too many draws. I think that this will be the only draw that we've had so far. So I'm going to hit stop share and we'll wrap it up here. Leo, anything else you're looking forward to for this weekend?
It's getting close to the close of the transfer window. Yes. So I'm just anxious to see what's going to happen before then. Besides all these great teams, these great matches that are going to happen, is the transfer window for me as well.
I actually think that it would be quite funny that if Spurs do lose, if then Kane really pushes forward the transfers. Like, well, you know what? I know you beat City, but then you lost to some nothing Portuguese team. Then you lost to Wolves. So
I'm out.
I'm out. He bothers me so much. But anyway, we will be back on Monday to recap. Well, actually, we should probably do it Tuesday since West Ham Leicester is Monday night. So we'll be back Tuesday to recap the games. And it was good chatting with you, Leo.
Same, man. I'll talk to you on Tuesday.
Later.